Welcome, everyone, to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould.
And I'm Missy.
And we are following Willow.
We are still following Willow.
We're back following Willow? Now we're waiting for Willow. Why?
No, that's right. Waiting for Willow now.
What is happening? Okay, so in response to the extremely weird deadline clickbaity article now, it turns out, Jon Kasdan responded with a 3-page love letter to fans, essentially telling us to be patient because they had to make some hard decisions. And I think we were spot on with what we thought was happening with the industry and across the board. And yeah, it's pretty much a confirmation that things are about to get a little bit dicey for the next little while from a production perspective, and he had to let the cast and the crew find work elsewhere in the meantime. But season 2 is written and will be produced at some future point. So Missy, I thought it would be a fun idea if we actually just read the letter aloud and then discussed it.
I think that sounds great. Let's do that.
And since your voice is so much more melodic than mine.
Oh, whatever.
You don't have a learning disability related to reading. That's more correct. Okay.
Valid.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Would you do the honors of standing in for Jon Kasdan?
Sure.
On the
All
podcast.
Right. With apologies to Jon, this is what he said. Dear Willow supporters and vocal opposition, you guys get in here too. Writing to you today, one preposterously, criminally, and immeasurably lucky fool. The outpouring of kind words, support, and passion for our shabby, idiosyncratic little show has been nothing short of mind-blowing and profoundly moving. Not just for me, but for everyone who worked their butts off on it. We're all inexpressibly grateful and thrilled that you enjoyed watching it almost as much as we enjoyed making it. Even those of you who didn't enjoy it, yet stuck with it for 8 hours to critique each episode and let us know exactly which choices you weren't a fan of. That too is its own ... incredibly specific form of flattery, and we appreciate it. As a lifelong devotee of Deadline Hollywood, I also appreciate that punchy headlines drive clicks. So I understand how Willow canceled after 1 season on Disney Plus is fun and juicy. However, as I'm nearly certain I've had more conversations about this in the last couple of weeks than Nelly and Driva, of whom I remain an ardent fan, I feel fairly confident that if asked, neither I nor the folks at Lucasfilm would have actually characterized it that way. The truth is less splashy, but here it is. A decision was made last week to release our main cast for other series opportunities that may arise for them in the coming year. With all the TV and movies in production around the world, it feels unfair to limit an actor's availability without a clear sense of when you're going to need them again. It's further trivialized by the simple reality that the scripts we've been working on require just as many actors from our first season with whom no such contractual hold exists. Nothing prevented Annabelle Davis, for example, from taking on another show, but you better believe Mims appears in every single Volume 2 chapter. If you're asking what this means for you as a viewer, or me as the creator, here's what I think it means. Due to forces much larger and much more intricate than I would ever pretend to fully understand, production of streaming shows is slowing down across the entire industry, and Willow won't resume filming in the next 12 months. But here's what's equally true. With the enthusiastic and unwavering support of Lucasfilm and Disney, we've developed and written what we hope is a brain-meltingly fun, richer, darker, and better Volume 2, which builds on the characters and story of our first 8 chapters. The Worm Survives. Volume 2 is all about courage, desire, acceptance, and the comedy and beauty to be found even in the darkest places and moments. It's about the enemies we must inevitably confront, both without and, often far more insidiously, from within. But above all, it's about the ineffable and enduring magic of friendship. I am confident I speak for everyone involved when I say that we'd all like nothing more than to deliver Volume 2 on the scale expected and demanded by the story we're telling. Are we going into pre-production? Not right now. Does that mean we're never going to make it? Absolutely not. 3 weeks ago, we got a 3rd season of Party Down, 13 years after season 2. Between seasons 2 and 3 of Atlanta, 4 years. Curb Your Enthusiasm seasons 8 and 9 had a hiatus of 6 years. Not to mention this little movie I love called Willow didn't get its well-deserved sequel for 35 years. Perhaps the one thing Hollywood has consistently been great at, over its entire history is servicing the appetites, no matter how obscure, of its consumers. And I have total confidence that if an appetite for more Willow persists, Disney, Lucasfilm, and this amazing cast and crew will satisfy it. Is now the best moment to campaign/demand more? I don't really think so. I recommend preserving your outrage for the many real outrages in the world. The entertainment industry is in a moment of radical global upheaval. The terrain ahead is unknown, but do I think enthusiasm for the show will still be meaningful a year from now or two? Definitely. As are all the people you recommend Willow to that can enjoy it whenever they want. But declaring it dead in the culture in which we now live feels, frankly, as anachronistic as, I don't know, putting a Soundgarden cover in a fantasy show. As for me, personally, I've been working on Willow for nearly 5 years. I've had the privilege of playing in sandboxes built by George Lucas and stewarded with the deepest care and love by Kathy Kennedy for 9 years. If you've hated the castles I've built or helped build in those sandboxes, this news should come as a tremendous relief and welcome respite. If you've enjoyed some of it and want more, I promise you that whatever I have to offer will only be cooler, funner, and more exciting for the momentary break I'm now afforded. I know the fandom can be divisive. I know sometimes people say mean things, but I gotta tell you, from deep inside, that has not been my experience at all. I love all you guys, and I relate and identify with every single person who is passionate about Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Willow, even if we crave slightly different things from them. I think an open dialogue and fan involvement only enriches these worlds as they grow larger, fuller, and more inclusive. I have the best job in the world. And if you think I don't deserve it, you're absolutely right. No one deserves to have this much fun at work. I love everyone I've had the tremendous good fortune to collaborate with these past 9 years, and I couldn't be more excited for what lies ahead. Ignore the bird, follow the river. I promise it'll take you where you need to go. Jon.
Okay, deep breath in.
Yeah, I know.
I love this man so much.
Okay.
I tweeted out, jokingly, but it is in all seriousness. I've become the biggest Jon Kasdan fangirl.
Oh no, we're in trouble.
I know. His brain is just so good, and his writing is compassionate and humble, and it shows how much he cares about the fans and the crew and the cast and the product and all of that. Everything. The show, his vision, he doesn't want to compromise the vision of anything. I don't think he wants to say convert this into books. I don't think he wants it any other way than the most idealistic way that he could produce this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I have a few takeaways from this whole thing. The first one is, like you said, extraordinary humility from a person who does what he does, which is awesome, especially given, we complain about other showrunners and writers and things that we haven't been pleased with. And one of the biggest issues I think we run into is a lot of times you'll read interviews with them and that talk down to audiences a little bit, and they really kind of act like, well, if you just don't understand the genius that I was doing, that's on you, whatever. And he doesn't do that, like, I mean, he
thanked the haters.
He thanked the haters.
They watched.
Yeah, I know. And he treated them as valid, and that's great. But he also just he just acknowledges that he has been afforded tremendous opportunities, and he's going to try to make the most of them, and that it's a group effort and all this other stuff. And so it's really, that makes me trust him a lot. Yep. His creative vision so far, I think, has been very good. And the fact that he's also clearly a good person. Yeah, is really helpful. I feel this way about Rian Johnson. I like Rian Johnson's creative visions, but I also think he seems like a really cool dude. And so I'm like, well, hey, I trust you, and I'm willing to see the stuff you put out. So yeah.
It's very hard for me to stand people to really be
people always disappoint you.
Yeah. Especially creatives, it's hard. You're I really like what you produce, but does that mean that I think that you get it as a person? Sometimes that's not the case, right? There are a few creatives that I absolutely look up to for what they have to do and what they have to contribute, and they're all incredibly humble. Rian Johnson, Nam June, from BTS
Mhm.
and of course Jon Kasdan. We're here. Yeah. I'm also a big fan of George Lucas, but that's no surprise to anybody.
I love George Lucas. I mean, especially because his life story is so interesting, and we've talked in the past, both with regard to Willow and Star Wars, about how deeply personal all of his work is, and how much of himself he puts out there in his work, which is a very difficult thing to do. Most people are not that vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so
we
I
both feel like Jon is taking, notes from George in this and making this a deeply personal story where he is playing with his own shadows on Maine. Right. We know Graydon is deeply personal to him based on his background and everything like that and what has happened to him in the past. And that makes me trust the story and him as a creator even more.
Yeah. Well, and Jon said that he related to Graydon most. And Tony said he felt that Graydon was most similar to Jon.
Yeah.
So they both, I mean, it's a very clearly happening there, but there's just a lot of other a lot of other things I think that you can't write this kind of an idealistic story and not have it come across as cynical unless you're really putting yourself into it. And so it is deeply personal, which I think frankly that makes it all the more impressive to me that he seems fairly comfortable with taking the feedback. Because I'm sure some of it has to hurt.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I'm sure it hurts to hear the YouTube bros go after this. But I mean, literally on our video, people tried to say very mean things about Willow on our video when we were talking about the cancellation. And I was like, you obviously didn't listen to the video.
Yeah.
You just came here to comment, and I hope that Willow gains enough success to start to really integrate into the collective unconscious more.
Yeah.
Because the messages are so important. We'll probably be talking about it for a very long time about what is important about Willow.
Well, okay. And that's the thing. The next thing I wanted to mention is that I got an immediate shot of energy from this instantly. Like I went, I mean, we were saying this is Willow Whiplash. Like I went from like so bummed, so depressed. And frankly, I was actually, I didn't realize until after the fact, but I was mentally trying to move on as fast as I could because I didn't like how it felt. So I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to move on. Yeah. So I was just like, nope. But like now, oh God, man, I'm yanked right back in. And now I'm like, and my brain's going with like theories for volume 2. And I'm back shipping again. And I'm like, oh man.
I thought about the edit. I'd never had the energy or time to finish.
Right.
And I'm like, maybe I have time, sometime in April after celebration. I'm like trying to figure out if I have time to work on it. Do I have time to do all the clipping and everything like that to actually do the edit? I was thinking about you're so right. That's so funny. It's so funny because it's like the miraculous energy that we talked about with the apotheosis effect, right? The apotheosis of having this media come back to us. This was like a mini alchemical union for all of the fans to say, you have been dead, you died, and now you are reborn, and now you have miraculous energy. That we experienced this, Missy.
Look at this. We got a real world example of what we've been talking about. So everybody who wants to know what it feels like to, have that apotheosis, go into the underworld and be reborn. Congratulations.
You have just experienced it. Holy hell.
I love it.
It's so bizarre that we can actually use this as how it feels like as a person.
I know. It's so funny. It's like, so that's wild. It just makes you laugh. And also like, there's a lot of people that were like, oh, bummer. I was really looking forward to watching that. Maybe I won't now. And then all of a sudden, because, oh, wait, no, actually it's just on hiatus. A bunch of people are like, oh, great. Well, I'm totally going to watch it then because I definitely
have time. Yeah,
I have time. And like, so now all these people are like, want to watch it. And so it's everything we were talking about in terms of like canceling it ruins its rewatchability. Putting it on hiatus often gives it the time to build the audience that it needs to have the buzz for the next installment. So I'm
And
pretty
I went
excited.
from being super sad that I printed like many, many buttons and stickers for Star Wars Celebration to give out to Willow fans to being like super excited to give out Willow.
You're going to have the advantage. You're going to be the source. People are going to come to you. They're going to be like, look,
I don't actually have all that
She's
many.
got the hookup.
I have like 40, so I'm sorry, but if first come, first serve, right?
No, you heard it here, folks. If you're going to Celebration, you better be one of the first 40 people to find Marie Claire, okay?
Literally, I have packs of amazing thing, including what is this show stickers.
Oh my God. Yes. I ordered that t-shirt. I have the t-shirt.
Oh, good.
I do. Good. I love it. It makes me happy. Get the t-shirts.
It makes me so happy. I also made out of request of somebody on the Discord a Willow is eternal bitch shirt. And it says it first said save Willow, and now I've made a version that said waiting for Willow.
For Willow.
And we will always be waiting for Willow. I did tweet out on the day, and Jon actually liked this tweet, which was me saying that, we'll wait for the tides to turn and we'll be here, I promise. And it made me feel really good that he saw that.
Yeah. And then wrote a 3-page letter in response. So,
I mean, maybe he was trolling my Twitter page where I accidentally told people to send acorns to Bob Iger. And people did.
I love it.
I'm sorry, Bob Iger.
No, we're not.
They sent nice notes about how much they love Willow.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
What's a few thousand acorns between friends?
He doesn't care. Like
he's not going to open that. That's an assistant.
He's got more dollars than acorns. He's good. So,
but I do. Okay, so this comes down to brass tacks. What can you do as a loyal questie in the quest to wait for Willow, watch Willow, continue to love the hell out of Willow? What does that look like? Do fan edits, do fan fiction, do fan art. If that, inspires you, you're like, I've always wanted to have a Willow podcast. I encourage you to create a Willow podcast. We need more of them. There is like 3 of us.
Holding down the fort over here.
And really like one dedicated Willow podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out to a Willow podcast. You guys are like literally the only ones. But more Willow podcasts, that would be amazing. You feel inspired to do this, write articles for, your fan blogs, write Tumblr posts, do gift making.
Yeah.
Enjoy, and more importantly, actually convince your friends to give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And remind them like, hey, listen, you have the time now, like, and it's coming back and you want to be ready when it comes back. So you should go watch. Like you should binge the movie and the show. Do it. So
do it. Peer pressure.
So that's what we're telling you to do. You need to be applying lots of peer pressure.
But also just continue to love it and
just have fun.
It. Yeah, and have fun. And honestly, like I'm going to try to get more people to come back on the show. Like that's part of the energy that I had, which is like, well, maybe I can actually get people to come on my show. I was so sad.
Oh, no, don't be sad.
So sad.
No, we get more people.
More people. And it is absolutely the best thing that you can do is just continue to love this. Seriously. The joy will produce joy for others, and that will multiply the joy. That's how it works.
Cosplay.
Oh, cosplays.
Cosplay. Please, cosplay. I want more.
And just bring the questies closer to you. Follow more questies on your social media, and we'll build a little community all to ourselves.
Yeah I mean, all these people interacting with Jon's post are a great place to start. Like there's clearly a lot of love for the show, and so let's pull those people in and have a good time together.
Yes, exactly. What did you think of what he said about season 2? Let's talk about that ever so briefly before we wrap up this episode.
In terms of what it's about and everything?
Oh, yes. The themes, the darkness.
So I particularly love
being in every episode.
Okay. All right. Well, I have crack shipping thoughts about that, but But no, like, okay, so the first thing he says, about how beauty to be found in the darkest places and moments, and then about enemies that you must confront without and far more insidiously from within. Of course, this is literally everything we were talking about. Like, so, again, incredibly validating, because this is what we were saying is all the characters, but most obviously Graydon, because of where he is, have to go inside themselves and face those ugliest parts of themselves, and they're going to have to confront much darker realities than they did in season 1. It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's the nature of middle chapters. So I'm fascinated by that. I'm very excited. Really stoked for Graydon in his villain era. Absolutely here for it. Let's do it.
Have you seen how long Tony's hair was at the screen premiere?
Yes, please.
Past
man buns, ponytails,
length.
all that. I know. I want it. So excited.
Just get longer, Tony. Grow it long.
So you do it. Go for it. Like, don't do anything halfway. I mean, I'm excited. It's going to be fun. I also think, a couple things too. We're going to have Alora. She's got to take a darker turn for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing, right? Season 1, she's kind of
the world, right? She is the universe. She is those representations. And so to have the whole feeling of like the spirit of the show be dark, Alora has to experience darkness.
But it's also like, she's the golden girl. It's the hidden goddess. She kind of emerged, and she's, the maiden hero version of that character, where she's, just kind of new baby in many ways. And now she's more of an adult, and she has more responsibility, and she's going to have to delve deeper into what her actual desires are. And so, similar to how, when we talked about goddesses and how they have the creative and destructive aspect, I think she's going to learn a lot about her destructive aspect. She's going to learn what kind of destruction she's capable of.
And we had talked about how the heroine's journey is a big thing, especially in the first season. But usually when you have a 3 sort of volume
3-act
arc, the middle volume will also be largely the darkest, because they're going to be basically touching the inner dark goddess too. So you think about Inanna and Ereshkigal, and Inanna being stripped of everything she thought she was as she descends into the underworld to meet her twin sister Ereshkigal in the darkness and be faced with the true dark goddess. So that's the descent to the goddess in the heroine's journey. And then after that, there's a libidinous need to reconnect with your sexuality, especially, and that happens in that mythos as well. Which okay, so what does that mean for me? Just speculating. Laura's gonna get horny.
I'm so stoked. It's gonna be great.
Okay, for our courtly lesbians, our Tanthamors, absolutely conflict. The house will not be easy to live in, because their hearts will be at war with their duties.
Yep, exactly. Well, I think we're going to get a lot of, especially depending on what happens with Scorpia, it's going to be, Jade is going to feel a responsibility to be with the Bone Reavers. And obviously Kit's going to be, having duties back in Tira's Lean. They're probably going to be, if not at war, then definitely in significant open conflict with Galadorn because of what happened to Graydon. So what you're looking at there is just, they're going to be pulled apart quite a bit. So lots of angst, folks. Get ready for, sorry, Tanthamors, get ready for angst.
Stuck with both sides, I think, especially if they end up figuring out how to bring in Val Kilmer. It's amazing. But Borman, of course, being kind of pulled in multiple directions. We already know Graydon's in the underworld and probably working with Worm Laura. And then, of course, we have Mims and Willow and Rhiannon and that whole plot as well, which we do need to resolve. And I really hope they go to Galadorn.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the reason that Mims is in every single chapter of Volume 2, as Jon says, is because now that Willow has been able to actually confront his failure and his feeling of responsibility for what happened to Kaya, and then, of course, Rhiannon leaving because of that, I think that what we're looking at next for them is a quest to find Rhiannon. And I think that's
Yeah.
why you're going to have Mims along so consistently, which I'm so excited for, because as much as I love this season and I understand why it was written the way it was, I wanted more Mims. I didn't get as much Mims as I wanted. So I'm super stoked that she's going to be all over next season. That's going to be awesome.
I want a return of Sorsha.
Yep.
And what are we going to get with Eric? What do you
I
think?
mean, okay, I don't know what we're gonna get with it. Like right now, he's just like cute arm candy. Like he's gonna like have adorable little quips and everything. But like I still am
He
enjoying
needs to
this.
be humbled. I'm sorry.
He needs to be humbled. I know. Like he's
Yeah.
just like, I want him to discover his own brand of heroism, because he was the damsel in this season,
and he was still
and
seeking purpose.
Yes. And so he needs to become a hero on his own terms.
God, I've missed this, Missy.
It's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time.
So I'm going to seek out more opportunities to talk about Willow, of course, because I don't want to give it up, of course. And I want to keep the conversation going. And we were going to keep the conversation going anyways, because there was still stuff we needed to talk about first season. But this gives us more opportunity to actually say, like, in the view of future seasons, what do we want to talk about? Yeah.
Well, I think we should definitely do at some point, another live stream. I think it can be the Waiting for Willow live stream. And we can do that. We can have the look back, the look forward. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love you all.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for coming on this journey with us.
Yeah, and the comments on YouTube were just so touching, and I wanted to hug each and every one of you. So thank you for reaching out and sharing your genuine feelings about the show. It means a lot to a lot of people, and you're not alone. I know the ratings, the audience ratings being bombed, and sometimes how loud voices on the internet make you feel like you're the only one that loves this, but it's very apparent that a lot of people have become absolutely in love with this show and are very invested in these characters' journeys.
I don't think there's any way we would have gotten, a 3-page single-spaced letter from the showrunner
with
if
the
there
3
wasn't
volumes at the end.
I know, if there wasn't a significant outcry, which means, small fandom maybe, but mighty and growing
and full of joy, because everyone was just saddened and disappointed, but thankful that we got what we got. Can you imagine? Yeah. Well, Missy, in the meantime, where can people find you if they are looking for you until next Following Willow?
All right. I am still active on Tumblr. I am All Girls Are Princesses there.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will be back. Cheers. Thank you for listening to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host. Our music is provided by Christy Carew for What the Force. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/whattheforce. We would like to thank all our patrons, especially those who love and are obsessed with What the Force: Melody, Night Huntress, In Wild Space, How Rude, Anna Perez, Neil, Christian Luca, Josh Johnson, Scott C., and Susan. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube or leave a 5-star review on iTunes or other pod apps. It helps people find the show. Check out our other channel on YouTube, What the Fiction. You can connect with us on Twitter at WT Force Show, What the Force Podcast on Facebook, and our website, whattheforce.ca. We also have a Discord. Links are in the liner notes. Feel free to reach out and start a conversation. Cheers.